Isn't it funny how when we enjoy what we're doing, time seems to pass more quickly? That's why we say things like, time flies when you're having fun. So maybe the secret to time management isn't so much about managing time as it is the amount of passion that we have for what we're doing. You'll learn some secrets on how to get more done and enjoy the process with my guest Erik Fisher on today's One Simple Thing.
It's time to build a better business by building a better you. This is One Simple Thing.
Welcome to today's show. Dave Kirby here with you. Should be a good one as I talk once again with Erik Fisher. Hey, I'd like to invite you to join us on the website, onesimplethingonline.com. As you go there, you'll see a pop-up that'll come up asking you if you want to opt into our mailing list. We're going to send you a special bonus. It's a PDF of some of our favorite apps around here at One Simple Thing, the tools we use to get everything done. We have an awfully busy workflow, and so it might be of interest. Might pick up a tip or two along the way. Plus, we'll be able to keep in touch with you through the mailing list. We don't send out that many emails, so we're not going to spam you or anything. But make sure you sign up today at onesimplethingonline.com. Let's get on to the show. Erik Fisher is a productivity guru. He's host of the popular podcast Beyond the To-Do List, one of my favorites. Check it out on iTunes. He's also author of the book Hit the Mark, Improve Your Focus, Boost Your Energy, and Make the Most of Your Time. And that's our topic here as we continue talking today. Erik, thank you for being back here with me again on the One Simple Thing podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Looking forward to talking to you today. You know, as we get into it here, Christy Wright, who works with Dave Ramsey, told me on a show here recently that you can get more of anything in this world you want except time. And I thought that was really profound, that time is that one kind of hard limitation that we all have in our lives. So I guess probably the first place we start in managing our time is deciding what we want, really, because that's the most important key in managing that time.
Yeah, it's interesting you brought up Dave Ramsey because he's all about the money. And again, money is that thing that some people think, no, you can't get more money. You can only be stuck at where you're at, or you can try to make more. But really it is time. I mean, I've heard somebody has said it over and over again, somebody in the productivity world, where they say, oh, you can always make more money. You can never make more time. That's what it is. And the thing is that though you can't make more time and you can make more money, both are very much best managed by a budget, by monitoring what it is you have, where you need to spend it, and deciding, where is it that you want to spend it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, speaking of Dave Ramsey, I remember one time a quote from him that I heard him say. He said, "It's your money. You can spend it however you want. Just do it on purpose." Right?
Exactly.
Be intentional with it.
Intentionality is really what it comes down to in terms of, if you want to master time management, you've got to decide how much time do you have, what do you want to use it on, and then you've got to make strides to be intentional about moving from one to the other.
Yeah, so it comes down to this, like, what do I really want, right? What is it that's my target, and how can I use my time and money most efficiently to get where I want to go?
Exactly.
I was reading an article recently. They were talking about two types of time. There's clock time, which is like, there's 60 seconds in a minute, there's 60 minutes in an hour, and that's kind of a hard and fast kind of objective thing, right? But then there's what they called relative time, which is based on the amount of enjoyment or dread that we have. So like, if you're a kid waiting for Christmas, it seems like time is just moving at a snail's pace. But if you're enjoying, time flies when you're having fun, kind of thing. So I guess my question for you is, does time management involve finding the things that energize us so that we're more passionate about using our time correctly?
I think it can be. I think one of the key things is, and I've definitely been in that place where doing something that I didn't enjoy doing, but I threw myself wholeheartedly into it, made the time move faster than my body clock or perception of time. Like, in other words, that 60 minutes went by in what felt like about 20.
Yeah,
exactly. And it was because I threw myself into what it was I was supposed to be doing, or even if it was what I was supposed to be doing and I didn't enjoy doing it, again, because I was fully invested, I didn't, didn't feel bad.
Yeah,
I mean, think about it this way. How many times you can do a bunch of stuff, a flurry of activity all over the place for a day, and you get to the end of the day and you're like, man, this day is over so quickly. What did I do? So the day passed incredibly fast, but you really, in some senses, almost feel like, I don't know if I have anything to show for it today.
On the last episode, we talked about focus, and today we're kind of focusing in on time. And what I'm hearing from you is that they're really connected, right? Because my perception of time is based on what I'm focusing on, and if I can produce that. You talk about being fully invested in the project. Mm-hmm. If I can produce that kind of investment, that focus, then it does have an impact on how I perceive time.
Exactly. And I think one of the key places where they're tied together is last time we talked about targets and hitting them. And we talked about large targets, which, are harder to hit because they're made up of a bunch of little targets. Well, if you can break those little targets down and then you start to knock those out and realize how much time it takes to do hitting one of those small targets, then you feel like, one, even if time is passing faster or slower, you almost don't care anymore, because what really matters is you hit one of those targets.
Yeah. I can't tell you the number of times I've put off something and just dreaded doing it. And then when I finally made myself sit down and do it, it took like 5 minutes, Oh,
I know. I've been there so many times. There was actually something I did this morning helping my wife out where it was just like, okay, I'm going to just knock this out really quick. And instead of it taking a half hour or what felt like was going to be a half hour, it really was a 5-minute task.
So how do we get ourselves to just knock those things out instead of putting them off ad nauseum like we are, we're prone to do?
Well, one, you can have your wife nag you about. Oh, that's. I thought we were being honest. I
can check that one off the list.
I think it really does come down to which ones matter most first. It's not as much about priority per se as it is context of time. For example, we're recording and. I have a ton of other stuff to do today, but today, right now, in this moment, this is where I am with you. Mm-hmm. So nothing else is going on right now other than I'm standing here in front of this microphone and I'm talking to you. Knowing that helps me to focus in on this one thing. And again, by monitoring like the calendar, I guess that's part of it, is just knowing what was coming up today helped me to say, okay, well, I'm going to put some time in front of and behind that event, because then I can prepare and de-escalate into something else later.
Yeah. So it's to me, it's almost like, the 5 minutes it's going to take me to do it, as opposed to the 25 or 30 times that I stress over it, is a pretty good trade-off, right? So we have to look at our own lives too and just go, why am I putting all this stress on myself when it would take 5 minutes?
Yeah, you can almost stress about it for a half an hour multiple times over the course of however long, days, weeks, months. Or you can just say it needs to be done and almost apply the 2 or 5 minute rule to it and say, let's see if I think it will only take that long, but let me see if I can get it to only take that long.
Kind of gamify it a little bit, huh?
Exactly.
And that's, you'd mentioned David Allen, but that's kind of his philosophy too, right? If it takes 2 minutes or less, just do it right now. Get it out of the way.
Yeah, he often will. A lot of people will apply that to email even. Is
right.
One of the things people wonder, how the heck do you keep your email inbox clean? Well, one is I can go through there and I can check a bunch of boxes and then just hit the word delete and get rid of a bunch of them. That takes me 2 minutes and eliminates hours of time later sifting and passing those over again and again.
Yeah, exactly. I want to finish up because you mentioned this. I think at the beginning of last episode, you were working a cubicle job and 8 hours a day, and through various time management practices and productivity tricks and tips that you were putting into practice, you whittled that down. That 8 hours worth of work, you whittled it down to 2 hours a day, right? And I've noticed the same thing. Since I became self-employed, and I've been self-employed for probably 20 years now, but I really, it was striking when I first went into business for myself, how much time when I was working a job was just busy time. It was just busy work. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I was getting the same thing done in 20 hours a week that I probably was doing in 40 or 50 or 60 hours when I worked for somebody else. So there's probably a lot of our schedule where we just load it up because we want to feel busy and productive, don't we?
Yeah, or we don't really realize that we can get that stuff done faster, and then two, partly because in a sense they're paying us to be a warm body.
Yeah.
In most of those scenarios where we're sitting in an office, whether it's a cubicle or we have a door to shut or whatever, it's because we have kind of this quota of hours to fill. So we allow the work to stretch and fill the time allotted for it.
Right. It's like pouring the sand in the jar of rocks, right?
Exactly.
It'll fill in all those gaps. So what do we do to avoid that? I mean, if we're really going to get productive, say like, for example, 8 hours of work, you're getting it done in 2 hours. You mentioned that you weren't maybe as responsible as you should have been with all that extra time. So what do we do when we start putting these things into practice and we start finding ourselves having more time? What do we do with it to keep from wasting it?
Yeah, I would say, I mean, again, that's like kind of the landing point we had on the last episode is if you know what the big targets are that you're trying to hit or those big goals, and you've broken them down into smaller, easy to accomplish pieces and tasks, then when you get to that point and you realize, hey, everything I had to do is done, what do I now get to do? And you have a list. And you can start to hit those and check those off.
Yeah, so you're intentional about having that backup plan.
Exactly.
Of when I do have some extra time, here's how I'm going to invest it to keep from wasting it.
Right.
That's a great tip. I love that. I was going to ask you for a tip. That's it right there. To me, at least, is if we put these things into practice, we've got this extra time. Now, how can I be intentional about that time?
Yeah, I talked about, the pen and paper and the crossing stuff off. And I have then the digital list where it's the, I can't, when I can get to it, I'd love to be able to do more with this or that. And so.
Excellent. Erik, thank you again. Great tips, great advice. Looking forward to the next episode as well.
Thank you.
Just some really practical advice from Erik Fisher today. That's what you'll find in his book. It's called Hit the Mark, Improve Your Focus, Boost Your Energy, and Make the Most of Your Time. You will find a link to his book. In fact, it's a banner ad right on the home page when you go to onesimplething.online.com. It's an easy read and really recommend you picking it up. You'll find some more of those great simple tips in there. Again, you could find the banner ad when you go to onesimplething.online.com. I'm Dave Kirby. Thank you for listening. Would you do me a favor? If you enjoy the show, would you leave us a rating and review on iTunes? Real simple to do, especially from your mobile device. Pull up your podcasts app, especially on your iPhone, and then do a search for One Simple Thing with the number 1. When the album artwork pops up, just tap on that, and right there on the page, right in the middle, you'll see a tab for reviews. You can leave us a rating and review there. I would sure appreciate it, and it will help other people find this show as well. Again, thank you for listening. Erik Fisher going to be back with me again on the next episode. I'm Dave Kirby. I hope to see you then.